Today's video features a paid partnership with BetterHelp. Well, hello fellow nerds and welcome back to my channel. Do you have a lot of shame about how lazy you are, but your laziness consists of being physically exhausted, bored with everything and wishing you were working rather than blandly staring at a wall, and even resentful that you're not using your supposed laziness to do more fun things like going out and hanging with friends, gaming or reading? Well, if you relate to that, you'll be interested in today's video where we discuss laziness caused by executive dysfunction. So whenever people ask me what executive dysfunction feels like, I tell them about my days off rather than the days I'm working, because I feel like my days when I tell myself I'm not working demonstrate my degree of executive dysfunction better than my working days. So on Sundays, I allow myself to not do any work. Sometimes. So I'll give myself the odd Sunday, meaning that Sunday is supposed to be completely free to do as I please. I could use my free time to do anything I wanted, and that could be read books all day, or go to a museum, meet up with a friend, watch a film, catch up on chores, or go rock climbing. Instead, what I usually end up doing on my very rare Sundays off is just sitting on my bed or my living room floor, as I am now, for anywhere between 5 and 7 hours straight, doing absolutely nothing. And when I say nothing, I mean nothing. I don't even scroll on my phone. I don't use my laptop. I don't read a book. I don't leave the house. I don't do any chores. I don't even watch a video on YouTube. I do absolutely nothing but stare at the room around me, overthinking everything, unsure of what I could do or should be doing, or maybe what I want to do, and wanting to do anything other than what I'm currently doing right now, and wishing that I should probably just be working instead, because clearly I was wasting this free time. But I tell myself that I should be doing a day off and not working, so instead I insist on sitting there doing nothing. So the Sunday before last, I set a timer to see how long I sat in the same spot on my bed, and it came to 4 hours and 27 minutes of doing absolutely nothing. I didn't even make a cup of tea during that period of time, and all the time I was thinking of, I wanted to read a book, I wanted to write my newsletter, I wanted to listen to my podcast, or I wanted to listen to an audiobook, or I wanted to even go on a walk, because the weather was absolutely gorgeous a couple of weeks ago and it looked really springtime and pretty, and I didn't do a single thing of anything that I wanted to. Now, most people would say that I'm just being completely lazy, but laziness describes a person's inaction regarding a task that they don't want to do. I can't do tasks that I want to do, and that's the difference. That's executive dysfunction. Executive function is our ability to consciously control our thoughts and emotions and actions to achieve goals or progress in life. Executive function is necessary for adaptable thinking, planning, self-monitoring, self-control, working memory, time management and organisation. I found that ever since I left the formal structure of education, that I feel like the strings that were holding me up and carrying me throughout life and moving me forward were completely cut. I feel like a bit like Pinocchio after becoming a real boy, except I never knew I was a puppet, and I kind of wish I was back to being a puppet because I can't handle being a real boy. I'm not a real boy either. But I never realised how heavily I relied on external systems to motivate me, especially regarding things that would actually add value to my life and actually bring fun to my life. Ironically, my sense of guilt is a strong motivating factor to drive me to do things that I don't want to do, like chores and taxes and even a lot of work. Yet anything that would bring me a sense of happiness or peace or joy or personal accomplishment, I never do. It's like the moment my brain conceptualizes doing anything for myself, it shuts my body down, and I find myself mentally overwhelmed with emotions and thoughts that chain me to the spot until it's time to go to bed, and face yet another night with the thoughts that I've wasted another day on this short mortal coil. See, I weirdly find that in the low pressure environment of my own home, I can't prioritise tasks easily, nor can I predict the future. At school or university, I knew inactivity would result in poor grades or reprimanding or possibly even failure or expulsion. But as life stands right now, with no external bosses holding me accountable nor structuring my time frame to act within my unending research project of my own making, my future is less certain. And to top it all off, I live in a body with a brain which doesn't feel like it has the authority to ask me to do anything or instill consequences or even dream of a future for me to live up to. It's easy when you struggle with executive dysfunction, whether that's due to ADHD, autism, or both, to call yourself lazy, because you feel lazy. You feel like your life is slipping away and nothing is being done or accomplished, and you're just watching it go by. However, I use this example of how executive dysfunction impacts leisure time to highlight that it's not laziness, because we're putting off our entire lives and no one can not want to do things for fun, surely. Look at it this way. Is your executive dysfunction only impacting your work life and important, like, scary things in life, like taxes? Or does it also impact your social and leisure time too? Because if it's impacting everything, it's not laziness. If it's only the tasks that you don't want to do, like cleaning or work or earning money or taking care of things, then it's more likely a motivation and personal alignment issue rather than executive dysfunction. But still, laziness is far too moralistic a term to employ even in those circumstances. So before we get further into how I'm managing my executive dysfunction moving forward and suggestions for yourself, I take a moment to thank today's paid partner, which is BetterHelp. I've been using BetterHelp for 3 years now. My therapy sessions are essential to my weekly schedule, and BetterHelp's mission is to make therapy accessible and help people overcome the barriers of going out and finding a good therapist, because it's hard to find. You have to travel, work all the way through it, you may not fit the first time, it can be a stressful factor, and there shouldn't be so many barriers to entry for therapy. With BetterHelp though, it's really easy to find a therapist. You don't have to search for hours through the internet or travel to get support. It's entirely online and remote, and you can be matched with a credentialed therapist in less than a few days after filling out a simple questionnaire. They match you based on your needs and the type of therapist that you would like and what you're looking for support with. And just like dating, if it's not a good match the first time, you can change your therapist at no extra cost. I've worked with 2 therapists over the time, one with my trauma and one with my confidence. I love both of my therapists. I was really lucky both times. I just hit it off straight away, and they both helped me significantly with different areas of my life. So whether you're suffering from depression or anxiety, or just going through a really difficult stage in life, therapy can give you the tools to approach your life in a new and different way. It's easy to sign up and get matched with a therapist. There's a link in my description box. It is betterhelp.com/Cinzia DuBois. Clicking that link not only supports my channel, but it also gets you 10% off your first month of BetterHelp and can connect you with a therapist and see if it helps you. So executive dysfunction is really elusive, and depending again on ADHD or autism, there's just so many avenues to overcoming it. I have desperately hunted the internet for help with executive dysfunction, but the advice out there hasn't fitted me the way that my head works. Or sometimes it's completely inaccessible for me. It's fine and dandy to recommend people hiring other people to do tasks for you, such as cleaning your house or projects you don't enjoy, if you have excess funding to do that. Also, whilst there are techniques that are very significant when approaching executive dysfunction, such as breaking tasks down, it doesn't address the mental barrier that's in place. So what techniques can we implement to start managing executive dysfunction from an emotional level? Well, the first one I believe is uncovering a motivating factor other than guilt or fear. I feel like many of us who are neurodivergent have been cast with labels such as lazy, unmotivated, or letting ourselves down, and as such we've adopted guilt and fear as our motivators in life because they're the only ones we're used to. People would guilt us or threaten us into doing things. So whether that's the guilt of missing a deadline or the fear of angering a teacher or parent, we've spent decades of our lives not knowing how to perform without being driven by negative external motivators rather than positive intrinsic ones. I believe the unknown of how to perform without guilt or fear leads us to our inertia or alleged laziness and executive dysfunction. But what would our motivating factors be if fear and guilt weren't in the equation? Identifying positive motivating factors, ideally intrinsic rather than external, will be a huge first step in overcoming executive dysfunction, particularly for me. So if you'd like me to do a video on identifying intrinsic motivators, please let me know. It's still a process that I'm working on right now, so I haven't got the answers even for myself, but it is something I'm investigating. The second one I believe is to become an authority figure that I need. So you may find that when you break down the thought processes behind your executive dysfunction, a lot of the emotionally charged thoughts holding you down are those that tell you that I'm not worth investing in, I'm not worth listening to, I'm not worth being respected, I'm not worth inspiration, I'm not worth impressing people. I'm not worth engaging with. Now, because you believe those things about yourself, you likely choose not to do things that would impress yourself or make yourself happy. Whereas if you had an external boss or a parent, you would be motivated to do those things. If you don't respect yourself as your own life boss, as it were, you won't care to impress yourself, nor will you even feel guilty when you let yourself down because you don't care what you think about yourself. Many of us have lived our entire lives desperate for external approval because we were denied it so much. We were always the freak on the outcast. We were bullied and treated less than by adults and peers, and we're seen as a freak or a weirdo, and no one has high hopes for us. So desperate to be accepted and loved by neurotypical people, we lived in their shadows, or we dimmed ourselves down and resented ourselves for how they treated us. We told ourselves that if we weren't this way, we would be loved, and never thought that it wasn't unfair that those people treated us that way. When we don't see ourselves as worthy of our own validation because other people treated us that way, we mirror them and prioritize impressing other authority figures, and never think about how we view ourselves and hold ourselves in high regard. We never think about trying to live up to our own expectations or please ourselves or be proud of ourselves. So how different would your life be if you treated yourself the way you treated other authority figures? How different would it be if you respected and trusted your own opinions and preferences and sought your own approval? What if you wanted to impress yourself or make yourself proud in the way that you wanted to impress your teachers or make your parents proud or make your boss happy with you? To do this, I have to seemingly dissect myself, put myself in two places at the same time. I have to be the person working for myself and also the person judging my own standards. That's quite a hard thing for me to conceptualize, and maybe it's quite easy for neurotypical people, I don't know. But to be intrinsically proud of myself requires me to have to separate myself into two entities and conceptualize myself as treating myself like I would a boss or authority figure. So that's how I'm addressing this issue. But again, let me know down below if that works with your mindset or not. And yes, that's how I'm tackling the issues of executive dysfunction and trying to manage and overcome my laziness from an emotional level, not just from a practical level. There are obviously practical things that we can do as well. If you want a video on that, let me know, or any other similar videos. I have a little Google form in the description box that you can always send requests to. I hope you found this video helpful. Sorry that I'm sound really weird. I can't hear myself speaking and I have a really blocked up nose and can't breathe very well, so I sound a bit odd. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please consider subscribing and giving it a like, and I will see you soon. Stay happy and healthy, and remember, books save lives, so keep reading.